Next up in this video series, we're going to be taking you guys up to the northern suburbs of Minneapolis / Hennepin County, which include the cities of Crystal, New Hope, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, and Champlin. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? BrandonArchie here, aka your favorite Minnesota realtor, and we're going to be talking about the northern suburbs of Hennepin County. But first, if you haven't watched the first video of this series, the first ring suburbs, you can do that by watching this video up here. Okay, now the northern section of Hennepin County holds a special place in my heart, seeing how I grew up in New Hope, Minnesota, which is about 15 minutes away from Minneapolis. Now, Crystal and New Hope are almost considered to be the same city, seeing how they're literally right next to each other. And honestly, the Crystal-New Hope borders don't really make too much sense, and in certain areas you can get pretty confused on which one you're in. So in my opinion, if there was another twin cities other than Minneapolis and St. Paul, I would definitely say that it would be these two cities. Crystal is the cheaper of the two, having a median sales price of $305,000. A lot of homes in Crystal were mostly developed in the 50s and 60s, so a vast majority of them are going to be Rambler style, one-level homes, with some of those homes having basements. Now, since most of those homes in Crystal were built in the 50s and 60s, a lot of them have only had one or two homeowners. So now that most of the homeowners there are getting much older, it's starting to open up Crystal as being one of the most affordable cities in Hennepin County, with most of the older residents either moving to assisted living facilities or, you know. Now, one potential con to some of the homes in Crystal is that since a lot of those residents are elderly, you're more than likely have to do some updating to the home after you buy it. But on the good side, doing so will give you plenty of opportunity to build plenty of equity. Crystal is a pretty small city compared to most of the other cities in Hennepin County, but you're also surrounded by highways that can get you to other nearby cities like Brooklyn Park, Plymouth, or Maple Grove within less than 10 minutes. And one of the best things about Crystal is that it's pretty centrally located. New Hope, on the other hand, is pretty similar to Crystal in terms of the city itself. Now, you probably won't even know when you cross the border because it almost feels like the same city. Now, New Hope is ever so slightly more expensive, with the median sales price being $330,000. Now, the homes in New Hope are also a little newer than Crystal, with the majority of those being built in the 70s and 80s. Now, because of this, you'll see a lot more split-level homes, and they're a little bigger than the ones in Crystal as well. Now, New Hope is also right off of Highway 169, so it's very easy to get anywhere you need to very quickly. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer and you want to be close to the cities but want more of a suburban living, then I would highly recommend either Crystal or New Hope as great starting points. Leave a comment below if you prefer suburban living, city living, or a combination of both. Now, next up is Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center, with Brooklyn Park being the 6th largest city in all of Minnesota. Now, both Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center have a combined population of 120,000 and sit directly north of Crystal and New Hope. Now, Brooklyn Park is so big that it can realistically be broken up into two halves that are separated by Highway 610, which runs east and west. Now, stay tuned for that city tour of Brooklyn Park, which will be coming up soon. Brooklyn Park is a very diverse city, and quite frankly, probably one of the most diverse cities in all of Hennepin County. You'll pretty much find every ethnicity here, as well as plenty of diverse food options, from American pub food all the way to Vietnamese delicacies. You'll find stores like Target, Walmart, Fleet Farm, and grocery stores like Cub Foods and Hy-Vee. Brooklyn Park is also home to one of the most popular golf courses here in the Twin Cities, Edinburgh Golf Course, which is an 18-hole championship golf course, and also has a smaller par 3 golf course named Brookland, which is about a block away. Now, I went to Edinburgh for the first time early last year, and it was easily one of the best courses I've ever been to so far here, even though I did lose probably an entire box of golf balls. Now, one of the main features of Edinburgh is hole 17, which is a par 4 surrounded by water. Now, the green is on its own peninsula, and surprisingly, I got to the green in 2 shots. And then I 3-putted, but I didn't lose a ball. Now, as far as the homes in Brooklyn Park, because it's so big, you'll see homes from the 50s all the way up to brand new construction, depending on which area of Brooklyn Park you're in. Now, this is one of the things that makes Brooklyn Park very unique compared to other cities. If you're looking for a newer built home built in the late 90s and up, then you'll more than likely want to be in North Brooklyn Park, which is considered north of Highway 610. Now, this area of Brooklyn Park is still being developed as we speak and constantly has new homes, restaurants, and companies popping up. It's also home to the nation's first 2-story Taco Bell that uses a lift system to deliver food to your car. Pretty much like going through a bank drive-thru to deposit money. Now, homes in this area mostly are built in the late 90s to late 2000s and are much bigger compared to homes in Crystal and New Hope. Now, as far as styles go, you can expect to see a lot of modified 2-stories. And if you do find yourself in North Brooklyn Park, then you would definitely have to check out the 5-8 Grill, which is one of the Minnesota restaurants said to have invented the Juicy Lucy hamburger. Now, the Juicy Lucy is basically a burger with melted cheese inside the actual hamburger patty itself. Now, my favorite is the jalapeno popper Juicy Lucy. You know what? As a matter of fact, I haven't eaten yet. Let me DoorDash this real quick. You guys think I'm playing? I wasn't joking. Okay, now Brooklyn Center used to be a very popular place to go to for shopping because of Brookdale Mall, which is no longer there. And it's since been replaced with the Walmart, which actually I just read an article saying that Walmart is closing down too. But there are still a few clothing stores in the area like Foot Locker, TJ Maxx, and K&G, just to name a few. Now, Brooklyn Center does border Minneapolis to the south, which now that I'm thinking about it, would make it a first-ring suburb. My bad. Anyways, one of the biggest reasons why someone would probably visit Brooklyn Center is to go to Topgolf. Now, if you don't know what Topgolf is, I would suggest Googling it and seeing if you have one in your city that you can visit. And the final city in northern Hennepin County is Champlin, which sits directly north of Brooklyn Park. Now, Champlin is also on the smaller side compared to some of the other cities in Hennepin County, with a population of just about 24,000, just 2,000 over Crystal. Now, the thing that Champlin has going for it is that you literally don't have to leave the city for anything because a lot of it is all right there in one place. You have your Target, multiple places to eat, a brewery, a movie theater, multiple gyms, and a grocery store. Now, homes in Champlin are a bit on the higher side compared to some of the other cities in this section, sitting at a median sales price of $365,000, which is also the average for the entire Hennepin County as a whole. Now, this is mostly because you're pretty much now in the suburbs. The vast majority of homes in Champlin were built in the 80s and 90s, and some newer developments in certain small pockets of the northwestern corner, but not enough to include them in the overall profile of the city. Now, Champlin also borders Elm Creek Park, which is a huge park with tons of activities like walking trails, dog parks, a huge playground, frisbee golf, archery, and a swimming pond. Now, they do have even more stuff than that, but I'm sure you guys get the picture at this point. Now, if you're looking to rent though, Champlin may not be the best option for you because they don't have very much for apartments. And they did also recently implement a new rental law for homeowners that limits the amount of people that can rent out their homes. Another con of Champlin is that since it borders Elm Creek Park to the west and the Mississippi River to the east, the only way to get in and out of Champlin is Highway 169. Now, even worse, the city of Anoka sits directly north of Champlin, and guess what the only way to get there is? That's right, through Champlin. Because of this, traffic can get pretty nasty during rush hour, so make sure to keep that in mind when you're traveling in and out of the city. Hey, if you're finding this info useful, make sure to hit that like button for me as we continue to keep this going with the section I currently live in, which is the northwestern section. Make sure to watch this video next.